All right. This is the meeting of the Conservation Commission on Wednesday, September 20th, 2023. The time is now 7:04. Present are members Kathy Demers, Carol Jordan, Bob Shabbat, Jackie Coolig, and Patty Phillips. Excused are alternate Nora Jones and regular member Marilyn Schreiber. Next on the agenda would be approval of minutes. Does anybody want to make a motion?
I'll move that we approve the minutes, so if I haven't got the date right here in front of me.
Okay,
July
that,
19th.
July 19th. Thanks, Carol.
July 19th.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Carol. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Any abstained? Right, so moved. Thank you. Present to speak. Doesn't look like anybody's here tonight to speak. Carol, do you want to give us a treasurer's report tonight?
Sure. Well, first on the operating budget, we've spent close to a third of our budget. The things that have been paid to date have been the memberships in Connecticut Land Conservation Council and Connecticut Association of Conservation and Inland Wetlands Commissions, and about around $325 for the Talmadge Trail map signs. That was the one large sign, and was it 7, or did they give us a throw in an extra?
Oh, they threw in an extra small one, actually. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
so, yeah,
Yeah.
we paid for 7 and got 8 of the smaller ones, the 8.5 by 11s. So,
Right.
So that leaves us with a balance of $1,015.28.
Okay. And Carol, can you just give me a number on the khaki wick dues? What was that?
The Cackaway Court was $60. Our share, it's $120 for 2 commissions, and Inland Wetlands paid the other $60.
Okay, great.
And
Thanks.
when we had been Connecticut Land Conservation Council is not a fixed amount, but we've been giving them $100 a year since we started participating with them. And
Okay.
they have been very helpful to us in the past.
And I do want to acknowledge that Connecticut Land Conservation Council did send us a letter saying that they had received our contribution of $100 and they really appreciate the partnership. So just wanted to let you know that.
And I have a couple other things to, we have received, as I mentioned, we have received the $25,000 that was awarded to us for this year through the CIP plan, and that's been deposited to the Open Space Fund already. And expenditures from the Open Space Fund to date were for $850 for the deposit on the appraisal, and so the current balance is about $95,000 in that. We will be discussing later the bill for the balance on the appraisal, which will be another $850. And I have something else to bring up, which is very nice. Kathy was contacted by someone who had resided in the house on Fenton Ruby property when it was being rented out by the Rubies, and indicated that she had been here to visit and was very impressed with the park and what we had done with it, and wanted to make a contribution. Well, that contribution came in today to the tune of $500. Very generous contribution. So
Nice.
that's really nice. And I think that's a really, really nice gift, and something that she obviously had close ties to that piece of property from spending her childhood there and growing up here. She graduated from Hall School and was told me she had been awarded the Hall scholarship 4 years in a row while she was attending UConn. So, and, it was really nice to be in touch with her, and obviously her connections meant a lot to her, and she was very impressed with the park and what we have done with that parcel of land. So that was
Nice.
very nice. And yeah, so that's what I have to report. And the ARPA funds, Kathy, I did look up today, and there was something, one source said that ARPA funds need to be committed by 2024 and paid out by 2026, but I'm not sure that applies to the ARPA funds that we have. So we need to follow up on that and find out when we need to spend them, because we need to commit and actually expend the money within the appropriate timeline.
I can double check with Christina, and but that's what I did look it up today too, Carol, and I have obligated by 12/31/24 and spend by 3/31/2026, but I'll double check that.
Oh,
So-
okay. Yeah. Okay, great.
Yeah, I looked up my notes from the past when we had received the approval. So, okay, great. And let's see, on to old business, properties management, Fenton Ruby Park. As far as the trails, I have not had any mention of any major issues by the trail stewards. They were doing some brush clearing this summer, trying to, brush back some of the vegetation that really got pretty long with all the rain we initially had. And then there was
Nothing like living in a jungle.
Oh, I know. There was a large tree along the Taylor Pond Trail just beyond the Boy Scout Bridge that had been girdled by beavers this summer, and it was really a potential hazard of falling on the trail and potentially on someone. I mean, that would have been probably a rare thing that could happen, but Bob and Chris did go out and took care of cutting it down, and they laid the tree down so that it ended up, the end of it ended up in the pond. And Chris and I were out there a few days ago, and we noticed that the beaver had chewed off all the bark and all the tops. So it was well, I think the beaver was very pleased. He started the work and we helped him finish it. So other than that, there was just a couple of small trees that had come down on the Taylor Pond Trail out by the bench that's the end of the pond, and Chris and I took care of that the other day. But other than that, as far as I know, the trails are clear out there. Patty, you've been out a lot. Any reports that you would like to comment on?
Nope, I agree. Other than that board that's missing on the green trail, the one, if you come in the east, and it's right past Pete's Bench.
Okay.
The first, and Red will be back from about 5 weeks. So
okay, so the board's missing there?
yeah, the board is now missing.
Missing, okay,
Yeah.
all right. Is that something that you think is a safety issue at the moment? Should we do something quickly about this, or do you think it can wait till the trails day, to the work day in October?
Wait, because it was weak and it's gone now. So
Right.
yeah, no, I think it's fine. It
Okay.
really is.
Okay, and then do you want to just make any comments about the beaver dam and the overflow onto the trail? Because I know you've been monitoring that through the summer.
Yeah, it's been fantastic. I mean, not only is it not flowing water, there's no stagnant water there anymore either. It's muddy, but there's no water per se. Yeah.
Good.
So working out nicely.
And the trail reroute is still looking okay?
Yes.
Okay. I was wondering, when we had put the trail reroute in, we had Bob and Chris, I believe, had put some small boards across that little canal. And we may want to consider adding another wider board before winter starts, when it gets covered with snow, just so it'll be wider. If people are walking on it, they don't misstep off the edge. Maybe we can put that on our park work day list. So
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. So as far as there are definitely boards other than the one on the Green Trail that would probably need some repair and replacing. I had, when Peter was still with us, we had kind of made a list of some of the boards that looked like they were going to need some repair and replacement within the next few years. That's when we went for the ARPA fund. So I'd like to suggest that we consider voting tonight to expend some of the ARPA funds to purchase building materials to repair bridges and boardwalks at Fenton Ruby Park. So somebody would like to entertain a motion on that end.
And Kathy, just do we want to make it just, to buy materials as needed for repairs to the bridges,
Sure, okay.
to be, with the funds to be taken from the ARPA funding.
Can you give me a full motion, Carol? Because I'm going to write it down.
I move that we ask for the expenditure of ARPA funds to provide materials for bridge repairs for work to be done. You want it specifically for the October workday? Or do you want it more extensive?
Well, that would be fine. I'm not, do we need to say specifically for that workday? Because if we
No,
end up
no,
meeting,
yeah.
okay. All right, so you're recommending that the Conservation Commission expend ARPA funds to provide materials for repair of the bridges at Fenton Ruby Park?
Does it have to be, can we make it,
Just a general?
yeah, make it more general in case there are, I don't know if there's anything that's come up on Talmadge or Knowlton.
Well, the kiosk signboard probably would be something that we could use funding for. And the way that the ARPA request was written, it was for park structure maintenance. I'm not sure if park means, it didn't say Fenton Ruby Park per se.
No.
Park.
No, I think, yeah, it for trail maintenance and specifically for the side for kiosk plywood. But is it specifically for the plywood, Kathy, for the kiosk, or
Yeah,
is
that's
are there
at the
other
moment.
materials necessary? Other materials for Fenton Ruby Park and the Knowlton and Talmadge properties.
Okay. Okay. Does anybody need that repeated before we take a vote?
I'm good.
Okay. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Okay, so moved. Thank you. Okay, so what I was thinking is between now and whatever date we come up with for the workday, one of us can go down to Willard's and order some boards. We can figure out which of the boardwalks we're going to repair, and put in a list of things that we need, and try to get them, whatever we think we're going to need at least for the workday and this fall, because we might be able to do some other work after that workday. We'll still have some time. And everybody is okay. I can go down, for example, if Chris and I went down with the truck, we can order the materials, we can pick up what they have available and ask them to submit it to the finance office, Carol. And should we put on it ARPA funding specifically?
Yes, but but you can send me if you can get me a copy, then I'll make sure that we know that that's to be taken from the ARPA funds.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay.
So Kathy,
Yeah,
there's
Bob.
also there's still some planks up here at my house too.
Okay, we'll talk, Bob, and I'll ask maybe Chris to work with you and come up with an inventory of which bridges and which boards and so on we'll need, and what's reasonable to accomplish, this fall. We don't want to.
Right. One of the things I think we should buy besides planks, we should get some 6x6s for that repair I don't know, did you notice that I carried a couple planks out there? And
Oh,
I
I
stood
didn't
them up,
notice.
I stood them up against the tree where the boardwalk is across those two, streams around the pond. So I stood those up against the tree. I haven't been out there to see if they're still standing up. And what I did is I walked around the trails and I found one of those 3-foot 6x6s. I carried it over and I dropped it over there next to the trees, right where, because the 6x6 that's supporting that boardwalk is rotted, at least a section of it rotted out.
Yep.
So I needed another piece of 6x6, which I surprisingly found on the side of the trail.
Okay, well,
So, but we're gonna need, I would think that we would probably need a couple, 3, 4 maybe at least, just to have on hand.
okay, yep. Well, again, before we go down to purchase any materials, we'll make sure we do an inventory, go out on the trails, figure out which bridges we might want to work on and what materials, including things like the 6x6s, Bob, and nails or screws, excuse me.
Right.
We'll make
Yep.
sure we know what we need and what we have in inventory already. So,
All right.
okay, great. All right, any other comments or questions on that?
No.
Okay.
Kathy, can we back up? Because one thing I forgot to say in my report was that the donation we received would be put into the fund specifically for Fenton Ruby that's part of the Park and Recreation Capital Funding. So that it is specifically earmarked for use for Fenton Ruby, along with some of the other income, including the fees from haying, which are being deposited there. So
Okay, great.
sorry.
No, that's good. I'm glad you mentioned that.
I
It's like,
think
I
it's
already
probably
knew
a
that
good
in my
idea to
head.
put in the minutes what fund it's to be deposited to. And I gave the check to Donna with and I had talked with her about where those funds would be deposited. Gave her a note saying, please put in Fenton Ruby Fund as part of the Park and Recreation Capital Fund.
Okay, yeah. I'm just writing this down so I make sure I put it in the minutes correctly.
I'm still so overwhelmed by by opening the envelope today and seeing the size of her very generous gift.
Yeah, that was really wonderful. And it's nice to know that we do have a vehicle if people would like to make a donation for the park or the trails, that we have some way to do that. I guess it's only right now for Fenton Ruby Park, correct, Carol? That we have that.
This was
that
given
fund?
specifically for Fenton Ruby because of her attachment to that particular property. But we could, other funds, general funds could be deposited to the Park and Rec Fund or the Open Space Fund. And one of the things I'm also following up with Donna is that I think I would like to write a letter of thanks on behalf of the commission, but I also want to make sure that the donor receives appropriate documentation for because of the size of the contribution for tax for federal tax purposes, should you choose to claim it as a deduction, because municipalities can receive tax deductible contributions as long as they are used for public purposes. So I'm working on that angle too.
Great. Well, thank you for doing that. On to October workday, or a workday at Fenton Ruby Park. I had asked you via email just to kind of look at your calendar ahead of time. I had looked at some of the weekends that are coming up in October after our next meeting. So we have a little more lead time to be able to get materials and decide on refreshments and so on and so forth. So do people have a general idea of when they might be able to help out in October? We had the 21st, 22nd, that's a Saturday, Sunday, the 28th, 29th, and then November 4 and 5. Were there any dates that people could not make? Maybe that's the easiest.
I'm unable to do any weekends still.
Okay, thanks, Jackie, for letting us know.
And I can bake.
Okay, great.
But Not sure, the earlier weekend would be better because,
Okay, for baking,
Okay.
Carol?
but yeah, because Dave's having a surgery on the 27th.
Oh, wow, okay.
27th of October.
All right, Patty, Bob,
Uh, it's a toss up, just, we're usually around, but, if something comes up, it's gonna come up.
Yeah.
So,
okay, but at the moment, right now, it looks like, I'm just saying general, there's none that you couldn't make right now.
no.
Okay, and
Yeah,
Patty?
yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Do you have a particular preference? I had asked some of the stewards too, just to see when were available, since we're gonna need, some significant numbers of people to haul out wood and so on, and so I'm trying to get an idea of when the majority can be out there. So. I like your candle, Patty.
Yeah, you're still looking for a stewardship for the connector trail, the connector to Langhammer.
I think that we have one right now.
Oh, you do?
Kane Gregory, who does the Ruby Trail. He's
Okay.
also doing that one as part of it. Patty's doing the Julia Trail, correct, Patty? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. But I
Okay.
want to see if we can get a handle first on the workday issue. Patty, is it something you can participate in? Or I'm not trying to put pressure on people, but I'm just trying to get a general idea of who's going to be able to help. We're going to, do bridge repair. We have to do some trail blazing, repainting of the blazes. And also, if there's any brush work, if we have a lot of people come from the volunteer side, we can certainly set up people to do different things. Oh, Patty, you're muted. Sorry. Haven't heard a thing you said. You're still muted, Patty. Patty? Oh,
yeah.
sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
So I too cannot do the 28th.
Okay.
But I can certainly do the 21st or the 22nd.
Okay. And how about the 29th?
Yeah, yep.
Do the 29th as an option too. Okay.
Yeah.
And November, are any of those dates open?
The 4th is just the 4th, November. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So not the 28th. Okay. All right. And let's see here. So I'm just looking at what people had said. One of the issues I have is I won't be back until the 16th, probably, from Vermont, which doesn't give a lot of time for us to get back and try to go and get some materials that week, for like the 21st or 22nd. Do have some volunteers available on October 28th. Connie, Ellie, and Josh were available. Haven't heard back from Kane or Bill and Kathy Bland, who are other trail stewards. And I haven't put out, obviously, anything to the Friends of Fenton Ruby Park yet. Sometimes we get some additional people, but I wanted to try to base this on the availability of commission members as well as our trail stewards. I also had sent an email to Ken Fele, who is he was the Boy Scout leader. I'm not sure if he still is, but he was the Boy Scout leader last year. And the Scouts were very helpful in terms of carrying wood out. And I haven't heard anything back from him to see if the Scouts are available. So I'm just looking at this and trying to figure out, and I don't know about Marilyn either because she didn't come tonight. So I think what I'd like to suggest, based on how many other people can come, Connie, Ellie, Josh, on the 28th, myself, Bob at the moment. Nora can come. She let me know. I think I'd like to suggest that we do it on that Saturday, October 28th. I know that's not good for you, Carol, for baking, but maybe you could bake
I
ahead.
might, it depends.
Yeah, okay, but and if you can't bake, that's perfectly fine too. But in terms of the numbers of people, that's what comes up on my list so far. That seems to work for the majority of the people that I've canvassed since. So
Yeah,
That's-
the reason I mentioned the stewarding of the connector trail is because I have someone who lives in that neighborhood, and I was thinking maybe if they could see if I could get him involved, and that might be a way of doing that. It's just see if, I mean, I know he walks his dog every day in the park, so.
yeah, well, we
And that-
certainly can look at that, and maybe you can invite him whichever date that.
Whatever date that is, see if
Yeah.
he'd be interested in helping with the trail
Sure.
maintenance stuff.
And if he wants to be on our list of volunteers, the Friends of the Park, Carol, if he wants to share his information, you could give it to me and I'll add it.
Sure.
So again, maybe October 28th with a rain date of the 29th, something like that. Would that at this point?
Yeah, why don't you pencil it in at least?
Okay. And I'll put out a save the date to the volunteers, to the Friends of the Park, and then we can, firm everything up maybe the week that I'm back, the week of the 16th. So, and I can put things on Facebook. I can have the town do kind of an email blast to whoever's on the email lists, just about, looking for volunteers. And maybe I'll hear back from the Boy Scouts. So, and if the Boy Scouts can do it a different weekend, like even a weekend ahead or something, if we can get the boards at least to the park, they can, hump them out to the areas that we need to work on, maybe later in the season even. That would be helpful. So,
Right.
okay, all right. All right, so I'm gonna use October 28th. And how does like the morning 10 to noon sound to people in general? That's kind
Yeah,
of
I
what,
think so. 9:30, 10 o'clock, something like that.
okay, 9:30 or 10?
Go 9:30. The
Okay.
time goes by fast.
Good point. Okay, 9:30 to noon. All right. And then do we want to make any motions about spending money to purchase refreshments for volunteers? If we want to buy some apple cider, should we do that tonight? Expend up to, or just expend.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that funds can be expended for refreshments for the workday. And that if we have some sense of how many people might be there, it's hard to put a dollar figure on that, but some refreshments, and I'll be happy to, I can make some cookies. I'll make my applesauce cookies.
Okay, thanks, Carol. Do I hear a second on that motion to expend budget funds for refreshments for the workday?
I'll second.
Okay, thanks, Bob. Okay, any other discussion on refreshments? And if folks, can even make cookies ahead that are frozen, I can put them in my freezer. If you're not able to be at the workday, that would be helpful. So, okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstained, so moved. Thanks. Okay, on to Knowlton Preserve and Talmadge Track. Stewards report, no major issues reported. There was a tree that had kind of broken way up at the top and was kind of hanging down over the trail in the Knowlton Spur. Bob Bloom had contacted me about that, and Chris and I went out and took care of the top that was hanging down. Steward Ellie Lowell reported to me this week that the Split Rock Trail is getting more use and seems easier to follow now that the grass and leaves are more packed. She said she's met people on the trail that have commented that the trail is well marked and they are really enjoying the new trail. So I know that earlier in the spring, we had talked about maybe having a walk on the trail this fall. Again, I'm not sure of how available this is, people are to do this. And whether or not we want to table that for the spring of next year. So we have still got a lot to do on the trails. We've got to put up the trail markers and maps. I shouldn't say
we-
the markers, the maps. So
Have we
Yeah.
heard back from family?
in the spring, it was kind of like, we can't do anything right now, maybe in the fall, but there was nothing solid about that. And, I told them we would let them know if we decided there was something that we, wanted to do. So,
Why don't we hold off on any kind of a walk until next spring?
okay. I'm just thinking about, I think there's some trail maintenance issues that we need to take care of first at the park, Fenton Ruby Park.
Mhm.
I don't want to, expend us too much on the weekends this fall, and it's going to get tight pretty quick. So,
Time has a way of going by very, very quickly.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And I had, when we finished putting up the signage on the new trail and we had opened it officially, I sent all that information to Kathleen from the Talmadge family and to the attorney, since those were terms that were basically in the purchase and sales agreement about the signage. So they were aware that it was open and, available to walk. So.
Maybe they took advantage of that.
And they may, the comments we kind of got back originally from Kathleen was that, the family was pretty busy and people would walk it on their own. That was some of the comments that we heard at the time.
Well, hey.
Yeah.
They had fair notice and they had information that was available to everyone, so,
Okay. All right. Let's see. Also, the Talmadge property, Talmadge, Knowlton, the rock pile is still there, still needs to be moved by Public Works. But is back again with the Public Works. So at least it will hopefully still be on his list of things to do. So, and then we still have to put up the permanent trail map signs that Carol did pick up from Fast Signs. They did a really great job, and that's something we can talk about maybe at our next meeting of working together to get those put up on the Talmadge and Knowlton trail heads. Any other questions or comments about the Knowlton Talmadge property? Okay. Town development, anyone have anything to report?
yeah. The gentleman or the group that bought Ralph Toulis's lot next to TA,
Yeah,
they do have a tenant after quite a wait. They'll be coming back to the planning and zoning. They want to massage some of the footprint of the building. So they're looking forward to doing that. They guess they've secured all the materials for the solar array and the charging stations. And I guess we'll expect them at planning and zoning in the next month or so.
What lot is that, Bob?
Beg your pardon?
Where is that lot?
Right next to TA.
Just
Right.
right next to, is it between the entrance onto the highway and TA? That's the
Yeah,
one that
the-
was advertised for sale in between TA and
That's-
the,
That's
the
correct.
approach. Yeah, okay,
Yep.
thanks.
And the dispensary is going to have their soft opening, I think by the end of this month. And they will be opening, their hard opening for the public will be mid to late next month. I was able to get a personal tour of the facility a week before last, and they've done a very nice job inside. So that's, I guess that's about it.
And where is that, Bob? Is that on,
That's where the bank used to be in Phelps Plaza.
oh, Phelps Plaza? Oh, okay.
So, Bob, just in general, I'm just gonna kind of comment that these are things that are happening in town. They're great. Thank you for letting us know about them. I'm not so sure that they're conservation issues.
No.
Yeah,
Well, you wanted to know about development, so
Yep, yep.
you got it.
yeah, I got it. Okay. So I'm not sure how much I'll report on it, just some
Yeah,
brief.
That's fine. if consider it just a verbal, report to the commission,
Yep.
Just-
to the members.
Yeah.
That's all it needs to be.
Okay, thanks,
Nice
Bob.
to know what's going on. Thanks, Bob.
Definitely, yeah. Collaborative organization news and communication. As Carol had mentioned, we renewed our membership with Kakiwick and made a donation to Connecticut Land Conservation Council. I don't have any other news to report. I know that the Thames River Valley group is going to be coming out with a report fairly soon, and when I get that, I will forward it all to you if you're interested in reading more about it, because we're members of the Thames River Partnership. Regional Pollinator Pathway Initiatives. I don't have anything new to report. Anybody else? I
No.
know that last time we had talked about trying to find a volunteer to do some weeding. And I had talked to Connie Bedan about that, the Girl Scout leader, and she said that she would make an effort to kind of do some weeding through the summer. And when I was out at the park the other day with Chris, it looked like, a full complement of flowers that are still out there. And looks like, somebody is doing a little bit of work out there. So that's good.
Hard to keep up this summer. It's been a very difficult year to keep up with weeding.
Yeah. And the chestnut trees are doing well. The new one that we planted, as you probably recall, we had that early frost, and kind of whacked it. But it did have some new leaves, and it still looks like it's viable. So that's good. And the older one has a full head of leaves, and haven't seen any nuts this year, though. Haven't seen any chestnuts. So open space opportunities, Burma Road property. I had sent out the appraisal report, and just, wanted to open it up for discussion. Obviously, we know that the appraiser looked at 4 comps, 4 different properties that were somewhat similar, and did I thought, a very good job of doing the background and the research on the property.
Mhm.
And basically felt that it came in at an appraised market value of $35,000. So, other comments about the appraisal report or questions?
Yeah.
No, it's just-
Yeah, go ahead, Bob.
No, it was just very thorough.
Yeah.
And it wasn't surprising to me that his appraisal was more than the tax records indicate.
Mhm.
I thought it was interesting that one of the things he said was that the access, it was not considered as isolated a property because partly, I think, because the roads had not been officially abandoned in either town.
Right.
Which made it less of a landlocked parcel than we might have thought.
Great. I still, I did talk to the first selectman. Carol and I had tried to have a meeting with her, but she was ill one day. And so I have followed up with her to see if she could be in touch with the Board of Selectmen in Ashford to discuss accessibility along that unmaintained portion of Lustig. And I did speak to Erica this week, and she said that she had put in a call to the first selectman, and they're trying to look into that to see from their standpoint what the status, just legal status of that portion of the road is. So we don't have that information at this point. And probably we can't move any further along with this consideration until we know for sure what the town of Wellington's ability to access that property will be using that unmaintained portion of Lustig.
Yes, right.
Mhm.
So, but we do need, the appraisal is complete. And we do need to, we got an invoice for the balance of $850 that needs to be paid. And that payment would be coming from the open space fund, because that was approved at town meeting to use open space funds for that on May 30th of this year. So I'd like to entertain a motion to pay that invoice balance.
So moved.
Okay, I hear a second.
Second,
Okay, thanks, Patty. Okay, any more discussion on that? The total bill was for 1,700. We had to pay a deposit of $850, and now this is the balance.
Mhm.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Opposed? Abstain? So move. Thank you. Okay, so Carol, you'll be able to move that along to Donna.
Just looking for my copy of the
Okay.
invoice. I can't find it all.
If you can't, let me know and I'll,
Oh, no, I do have it. There it is.
okay.
Yeah, I have that. Yeah, but I just thought it would be good for us to accept the report, the appraisal report before paying that.
Oh, do
yeah,
you want-
I agree with Bob. It was a very thorough report.
I
So
can do a
surprised
quick.
they,
Go ahead.
I was surprised they could find that many comp properties.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was very interesting to, I went out to the property with, Mr. Baldwin, who was the appraiser that did the work, because he really needed to kind of figure out how to get there. So I went out and, he's on the Conservation Commission down in his town of, oh boy, I want to say it's New London or Waterbury. But he's on his Conservation Commission down there. So he was a very interesting gentleman.
Waterford?
Did you look it up?
No, I
Yeah,
do like near
But
Waterford.
yeah, he's down in that area. He's down by the shore. And I'm sorry, I'm blanking on which town it was, but he's on the Conservation Commission there. So. Okay,
Okay, so I will turn that bill in.
and that should be paid from open space.
Yep.
And the town meeting was 5:30, Carol. I just thought I'd give you all the details if you want it.
Yep.
Okay. Willington Wire. Marilyn was very helpful and she submitted an article about open space property and hiking trails in Willington for the fall and winter edition, and that should come out in October. And thank you, Marilyn. I know you're not here, but thank you. The next one will be, let's see, that's going to be October, November, December. And so the next one will be due in January. So probably the end of December, they're going to want a submission article by the end of December. Would anybody be interested or willing to write something? I certainly can help by sending you past articles. They're one-pagers. It doesn't have to be on trails. It can be on a conservation topic of interest to you that you just want to share. It just comes under our heading on the top of the page. Basically, it says Conservation Commission notes or news. Bob had done one for the last issue. If anybody's interested, it can be about agriculture. It can be, again, so it can be about anything. All right, we'll keep that in mind. I'll be asking every meeting. All right. Under other, Nora let me know that she reached out to the Wellington Public Library about using the Master Wildlife Kit. And she's going to be reading a children's story on hibernation and showcasing the Conservation Education Kit on Saturday, October 7th at 10 a.m. And I just wanted to note that Nora is also, you know, a local teacher. She's not a Wellington teacher, but she teaches in our region, and she's also a master wildlife volunteer for DEEP. So I think that's great. She's doing a little bit of outreach on the commission's behalf. And then lastly, under other, I just wanted to mention again that we still have an opening for 1 regular and 2 alternate seats are still open. And I really think, and Carol and I have said this many times as well, we need to be sure we're really reaching out to the community and trying to find new people to serve, because, you know, so many of us have been on this commission for a long time. And if we don't have people to step into our shoes, there's going to be a real void, especially with park management, for example, in the future. So I'm going to really encourage all of you to think about, within the next few months, targeting somebody to ask, and, you know, encouraging them to come to one of our meetings or one of our events and get to know us a little bit more, and see if we can encourage some people to get enthusiastic about being on the commission. So, I mean, the Inland Wetlands Commission almost went down in flames last month because they didn't have enough members. And luckily 2 people basically stood up. Carol's husband and Ralph Toulis volunteered to sit on Inland Wetlands and really saved it, because otherwise it may have been put under planning and zoning. So we really need to find volunteers. Same thing could happen with the Conservation Commission. I mean, park management could come under Park and Rec in the future. So it's really up to us to try to get new members. So Patty, when you're out on the trails,
Yeah.
talk us up.
Yeah. And like randomly, but I feel like I have to be more aggressive too, though. I know. I completely understand, Kathy, what you're saying. So
Well, you've been on the commission twice. You know, Patty, you came back and you know, it's really appreciate that. I don't know what we have to do to get new people, and maybe try to get young people involved, so we have some, you know, some new ideas and energy, you know. So,
yeah, my daughter and her husband are interested when their life's one works full time and is going to school full time. So, but she lives in town.
yeah,
So-
yeah, certainly.
Got her-
But it's difficult, but there are things other than the parks and the trails that there, you know, the background and knowledge that I have in some of the areas is particularly finance, and that the information needs to be passed on to someone to begin to understand how some of these things operated, where the money. It's always helpful to know where the money is.
Definitely.
Yeah.
You know,
And all the work you've
that
done. on
sort
the
of thing. And having somebody who regularly does the minutes, for example, is really important, because it's not terribly onerous, but it does. And it can be done on a rotating basis, but it's really a problem. I see it a problem with the burden it's put on Kathy, and also that it's difficult for someone to chair a meeting and also take the notes that are necessary to produce the minutes. And you know, so there are plenty of rooms for lots of different talents and skills, not all of them necessarily requiring the ability to work outdoors, but to support things in other ways.
Right. Good point, Carol.
Yeah.
Right.
Agree.
Okay. All right. New business communications. Again, the only thing that I received was a letter from Connecticut Land Conservation Council thanking us for the donation. Anybody have any other new business they wanted to raise tonight?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I wanted to know if Patty would like to go tiptoeing through the Phragmites again with me in the next week or so.
I would love to.
Okay, thank you, guys.
I need to put some weed killer out, and while I'm mixing it up, I'll just make up another jar, and I just need somebody to go out and help me with that.
Okay.
I've looked into the swamp where we worked last year, Patty.
Yeah.
And Kathy and I were out there previously, and then you and I were out, and I only spotted, I don't know, like a month and a half ago, only like 3, 4, or 5 really large Phragmites.
Hmm.
So if we can get out there and, I'm sure the seed heads are out now, we can bag those up, get them out of there, and then treat those stalks with some herbicide. I think, we'd be in pretty good shape in that particular part of the swamp. And if there's some smaller ones we happen to spot, we can treat those, but it's not going to be the numbers that we were looking at last year. Last year it was like every step there were 3 or 4 or 5 of them that we had to stop and cut and treat. So, if I don't know what day works best for you.
I
You want to?
get out work on Monday and Wednesday at 2. I can do next Friday. I get out of work at 12:30, the 29th.
How about if you email me like the night before so I can
Okay.
so I mean I roam at will, and so if you can tell me when you're available, that give me a chance to say, oh, okay, I can or can't do that, and then we can try the next day that you're available. How's that sound?
That sounds perfect. Yep.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to be out there for much more than an hour, maybe.
That's fine. I don't mind being out there.
Okay. Okay.
Really.
There's just a little bit more water in the swamp than there was last year.
Good. Okay. Nope. I'll email you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other new business anybody wanted to share? Jackie, anything on the agricultural side that might be of interest?
Nothing too new. The Ashford Farmers Market is going to be extending into the winter this year.
Oh,
That is one of our closest markets, and yeah, other than that, nothing that I can think of right now.
Where
Where
are they
will
going to hold it, Jackie?
It's going to be in Knowlton Hall, so the library.
Oh, okay.
and Jackie, what day of the week is that? I'll put it in the notes.
It's on Sundays. The summer market is Sundays 10 to 1. The winter market will be the first and third Sundays of the month, 10 to 12:30.
Okay, and when does that start? Like what's winter?
So the outdoor market goes till November, and then the winter market will start in December and go to April.
Okay, all right, great. Thank you. And I know that you're kind of in charge of that right now. Is that still true?
Yep, yeah. So I'm organizing it. So I utilized our Willington Conservation Commission signboard to just announce the winter market, which
Okay.
Nice.
Kathy had given me permission to do.
You got your
The-
turnip planted?
Yep, we've got turnips planted. Yeah, hopefully
Okay.
with all the rain, our root crops don't all rot. But
Yeah, true.
just dug a bunch of potatoes before they rotted, so that's good.
At the mercy of the weather, huh, Jackie?
Yeah, it's been
Yeah.
a crazy year.
Well, thank you, everybody. Good to see you all. We had skipped our meeting in August, so this is nice to see everybody. And our next meeting is going to be October 18th. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay. All right. I'll say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, great. All right, guys, take care of yourselves and see you in October.
Okay, be well.